So this meeting was called by the village council because the council was made to understand that a letter was wrote by the village alcalde to CEO Urbina to try and stop the inauguration that is set for the 12th of October, which is this coming Thursday. So the chairman called for an emergency meeting because this letter that is being wrote by the village alcalde was without the knowledge and consent of the community. The meeting took place. The villagers were addressed with the issue. The letter was being read and was explained by the chairman about what transpired. Most of the issue that the alcalde wrote on the letter had already been rectified by the village council along with the public utilities.
So can you tell us why do you think the alcalde did such thing, and are you aware of the concern he have?
Yes, his concern is that he's trying to stop the inauguration because he felt that it was not okay for the inauguration to proceed because since the majority of the community has not been connected. But what he failed to realize and failed to understand is that there is a memorandum of understanding signed between the community and the government of Belize, which is dated to end 31st of December 2023. So this inauguration that is going to happen wasn't going to hinder the process of connecting the people. However, the contract or the agreement that we signed between the government and the community is to connect 241 households.
So far, how many households are wired or connected?
So out of that 241, 33 had already been connected. So when we get into the council, an additional 64 was connected. Was wired. When I said connected, meaning their homes were wired. And then they're in the process of connecting them to the main grid and installing the meter. And that is currently happening in our community at this time. So there is progress. But if the government don't complete the connection, the 241 by the end of December, then you have a valid point to make. But at this time, we haven't reached the deadline as yet. So I don't see where his confusion is. And the majority of the people accepted the inauguration to proceed. And this has been done through a process.
What's the majority of the people?
Well, I wouldn't be able to give you a number at this time, but majority of the Indian Creek are in support of the inauguration. There is a signature that is being collected, and the majority favor for the inauguration to happen.
And is the inauguration still going to happen on the 12th?
Yes. The village council and the alcalde cannot make a decision on their own. Just like as what he did in writing a letter to CEO Urbina without consulting the community. So majority of the Indian Creek community went out to that meeting called by the village council. That meeting was called by the village council to address the issue that the alcalde wrote to CEO Urbina. And majority of the community voted in favor of the inauguration to happen. So yes, indeed, the inauguration will proceed as planned. There are a lot of videos circulating on social media, the confrontation of the meeting, but nobody is addressing the actual reason and outcome of the meeting. So when the villagers get to find out that the alcalde wrote this letter without the consent of the community, so they're upset and they immediately ask for his removal. So what we did is that we also collect signature because the majority must be heard. So we also collected their signature. And again, majority of the people of Indian Creek signed, and we have proof of their signature. They are calling for his removal. So that's what happened. So what you saw on Facebook or what you saw on what's happening in Indian Creek our confrontation where the villagers of Indian Creek are dissatisfied, they are not happy, they are, shouting and a lot of this over
Overreaction.
the reaction of the alcalde. So we're trying to explain to him, we need to consult with the people before we make any arrangement. Because there is an FPIC protocol that has been implemented by the government of Belize and the Toledo Alcalde Association or the Juliancho Society, that we must consult with the community. The community must give their consent or their voice for any project to commence or any matter such as these to be rectified. But they are failing to do their FPIC protocol. They are not using their FPIC protocol to resolve some of these problems. We as a council, we adhere to their protocol, and that's what we're doing with the community. But when we're doing that FPIC protocol now, they don't like it. But it's not us. We are only abiding using the tool that they had provided for the community. One thing that we want to address through this medium is that we have the senior correspondent for Love FM who was at the meeting and took videos of what had transpired. But according to what I saw, the news that they had produced, that they did not address the outcome of the meeting or what had transpired in the meeting. There are records of people signing. An official result was given as to how many people voted in favor of the inauguration and also for the removal of the alcalde, because the residents are not happy with what the alcalde is doing in our community. So we would like to ask Love FM to air what had transpired and not to hide what happened at that meeting.
Can you give us the number of how many voted in favor of the inauguration?
We had, I think, roughly around 100 people who voted in favor, and 94 people voted for the removal of the alcalde. So for any decision such as these to happen in our community, it must happen at a community meeting. We cannot go and collect petition from house to house, as what some of the alcaldes has been doing. Any decision making has to come through a village meeting at a community center. And 60% of the total people who attend the meeting, 60% of that will determine the outcome of any concern or any situation like this.